Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 56.8 kilograms and trains under Joe Lopez at a freestyle fighting gym, fighting out of Sydney, Australia, with an undefeated professional record of 1 win for 0 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the cage, Matty Gibson! And introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 56.8 kilograms and trains under Steve Walton out of Wolves Den, fighting out of Perth, Western Australia, with an undefeated professional record of 2 wins for 0 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Frank the Tank Jankowski!
Now this is a draw.
Well, I guess there's a 0 in that column at the moment too, but touche. Outside low kick from Frank the Tank to kick us off. And of course this fight brought to you by proper number 12, Irish Whiskey.
Both guys very relaxed on the feet. See with these lighter weight guys, they're so they're like they've got springs in their legs. They just hop around so quick and jumpy and like ready to explode at any second.
Yep, the output is certainly something that I look forward to when watching these flyweight fights. And the other thing that I just love with these lighter weight classes is the scrambling. The wrestling scrambles that they get into is just fantastic. They can prolong their scrambles because of the I guess, you know, the better cardio gas tanks that they possess in comparison to the heavier weight classes. So these, you know, elongated scrambles are something that I always have a lot of pleasure out of. As we see, first one of the fight, beautiful single leg, cut the corner and finished.
Wow. Super impressive though.
And right on cue, Matty Gibson trying to get to his knees, but a really good job from Jankowski wrapping up the legs there. But look at this, butt scooting all the way to the fence. Just non-stop movement from these flyweights.
Just perpetual motion from both guys. See Frank trying to advance his position now, but Matty's doing a good job of controlling his head, stopping him from coming up too high there. But Frank's got those legs wrapped up nice and tight there, so it's making it very hard for Matty to get back to his feet right now.
That was a lovely single leg takedown from Frank the Tank that led to this.
Beautiful. Cut the corner well. Done everything right. Took a page out of your book, Daniel Maudsley.
I don't know if I can do that, Kyle, no. Certainly not as pretty when I try a single leg.
He's back to his feet, but not in a good position either.
Matty Gibson doing a great job, though, just to find his way back to the fence. I mean, he's effectively taken down in the middle of the cage, and it's a fair amount of distance to cover to get back to the fence to aid your get-up, and he did that quite well. Potential Kimura trap here, and did well to utilise that to get an underhook back off.
Yeah, he's in a better position now. He's still against the cage, but he's got an underhook. He's got a nice high overhook. Should be careful here not to get taken down again, though. But
head on the outside single.
He's relentless with those takedown attempts.
Gorgeous chain wrestling, and they find themselves in open space.
And straight back to action as well.
An absolute technician's delight, this one. Flyweight division has always been one of Australia's stronger divisions for whatever reason. So a lot of the bigger boys maybe find themselves doing rugby. 2.5 minutes remaining in this fight, and the boys exchange big hooks.
Matty Gibson's constantly switching stances, not giving him the same look twice. Frank well aware of it.
Nice outside low kick as Jankowski came forward there from Gibson. Winging left hook.
Just missing the mark. There's a lot of speed shown by both guys.
And great footwork as well. So 90 seconds remaining in what has been an entertaining opening round between Frank the Tank Jankowski and Matty Gibson. Oh, beautifully timed knee as Matty Gibson almost ran straight into it. But seemingly unfazed there is the product of Freestyle Fight Team.
Yeah, I think you're right that he ran into it as opposed to Frank actually throwing a hard knee. Still could knock a lot of guys out, but I think that took a little bit of power off there. But a nice high kick there from Frank.
Beautiful work from Frank the Tank. You Again, Matty Gibson, seeming relatively unfazed.
How tough is Matty Gibson?
Oh, beautiful counter. Right hand there, the pull counter, one of my favourites. So 45 seconds remaining in this opening round. Of course, we mentioned on the walkout a couple of very well-known gyms going head-to-head here. Wolves Den Academy here in Perth, and Freestyle Fight Team all the way from Windang, New South Wales.
How was the timing there on Matty? When Frank retracted that kick, he followed it back in to use it as a takedown. Exceptional speed and timing.
Beautiful counter to the hip toss attempt. As the flyweights do, the movement continues. Back to the feet momentarily was Gibson before a slip. Axe kick to the body like that. Nice right hand there from Frank the Tank as we'll close this one out. To push a very high pace.
No, I'm sure both these guys will do 10 rounds easily.
Only 3 necessary tonight, 1 in the books, 2 to go. Oh, beautiful check left hook there from Matty Gibson, stumbles Frank the Tank.
A little shake of the head there from Matty saying, let's go.
Let's do it. Nice work in on the body lock though from Frank the Tank.
And Frank not too phased by the shots that he just ate.
Oh, beautiful work chaining from the striking into the wrestling, but Matty Gibson showing he's up to it with some nice defense.
Yeah, Frank doing a good job on all the exits of the wrestling, on the exchanges. He's throwing something there, so he's not just exiting out of a grapple or out of a situation. He's actually throwing something there, which is very smart.
Sticks down the middle with the front kick, Frank the Tank, potentially looking for a takedown there. Just got a little caught up as Matty Gibson moved forward. Front kick up the middle, just grazing there from Frank the Tank. Matty Gibson showing a really good understanding of range at the moment. He's maintaining his distance while landing his own, sort of picking his shots quite well, and also evading a lot of what's coming back at him, as we just see him slip the jab there.
And he's taking more control of the octagon of the cage right now as well, Daniel, which is a good thing to see.
Of course, a cornerstone of the judging criteria that is utilised. So Frank the Tank might want to try and steal some of that real estate back here with just over 3 minutes to go in this second round. A couple of shots to the body and one up top for good measure there from Matty Gibson. And right on cue is Frank the Tank. One of the things with, I guess that you've got to be cautious of when you're using those pull counters is combination punches. And Frank the Tank putting a combination together there and that second and third shot landing. But I tell you what, Kyle, Frank the Tank chance going on.
Oh, beautiful right hand with a takedown there.
Lovely work.
He wants to take his back now. So one hook in, Daniel.
Slid that first hook in seamlessly. But Matty Gibson right in front of his corner of Joe Lopez and Colby Thickness manages to free his leg and make his way back to his feet. So again, the constant motion of these flyweights just makes maintaining any sort of positional control almost a fantasy at this weight class.
Yeah, both guys extremely high fight IQs, doing a great job in there tonight.
Matty Gibson now with, looks like he could go to a body lock if he wants, but instead just maintaining that high underhook, now clasping his hands behind Frank the Tank's back. 2 minutes to go in this one. A takedown would speak volumes if someone can maintain some positional control on top.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, is can they maintain positional control on top too? Because both these guys, as soon as they hit the ground, they're like little cats, they're straight back to their feet again.
Checks kick there from Frank the Tank. Exchange between the boys. Nothing seems to have landed particularly there, but that certainly did there. The right hand from Matty Gibson straight down the pipe sends Frank Jankowski into a spin. And right back at him with another one the other way. A spinning back kick. Partially lands a knee up the middle. He's been close with that technique a couple of times tonight, Kyle.
Yeah, he has. He's threatened it a few times and landed it a couple of times. So Matty needs to be careful of that, because as the fight draws on, he may get a little bit more lazy and not be aware of it as much.
Nice front kick into the flying knee. Shoots the takedown, but look at the way that Matty Gibson turned the corner there. Fantastic stuff, and well, looks like we might have our first bit of control time here, Kyle, on the mat. But not for long, as we see Frank the Tank right on cue, back to his feet. Fantastic scramble. He's managed to pick the ankle as well and find himself now in a dominant position with 45 seconds remaining.
Yeah, Matty Gibson doing a good job of that little grapevine around the arm now, using that to be able to stand up again. Not letting Frank clinch his hands together and get something nice and tight around him.
So Matty Gibson now utilising that underhook to try and turn Frank the Tank. But Frank showing off why they call him the Tank here and unloading some shots on the fence. Just an incredible pace between these two, particularly when it comes to the exchanges. Spinning back fist lands, shot up top, and Frank the Tank dumps him right on the bell. So 1,000 people inside here tonight. Just an incredible turnout from the Australian MMA audience. Of course, many in town for the UFC 284 pay-per-view event going down tomorrow night. So tomorrow morning, I should say, local time. My apologies. Excited for what has already been a fantastic couple of days of mixed martial arts.
Both these guys wasting no time starting the third round here. Both coming out firing. Big hand there from Matty. Matty really loading up the shots here in this third round. And you see Frank the Tank going for that takedown that he's attempted a few times now. Not having much success with it though, but relentless with it nonetheless.
Messaging from the corners between rounds there, Kyle. What do you think would have been the overarching message?
I think both corners, they need to take the fight to the ground just to establish a little bit of control. Both these guys have so much success with the striking and the kicks and the wrestling, but no one's really taking control on the ground. If someone can get it to the fight in this third round, maintain a little bit of ground control, they'll really be high in the judges' eyes. Like we always say, it's easy for us to sit back here and say this, is that we're not the ones in there doing it, so it's a lot easier said than done.
Of course, I appreciate the commentary, though. I certainly echo the sentiment that a point of difference would be some prolonged ground control here in this third and final round. But Matty Gibson finding the range there a few times with that right hand in those last couple of exchanges, so perhaps he's going to be happy to stand and slog this one out if those keep landing. So as we approach the final half of this round, right hand glances there from Matty Gibson. Little stumble from Frank the Tank. I think he just got his feet caught up a little bit. Oh, body head. Beautiful from Matty Gibson.
Yeah, Matty really starting to land some heavy power shots now. And those power shots to the body also take away your gas tank as well.
Yeah, he is hunting the body of Frank the Tank Jankowski right now.
Frank doesn't seem too bothered by him just yet. It's a little bit on the back foot again, but Matty hears it with the power shots.
2.5 minutes remaining here in this flyweight bout. 12.5 minutes in the books. Both these boys, fresh as daisies, can go all day. Matty Gibson is just relentless with that forward pressure, though, just continuing to march down Frank the Tank and trying to suffocate his way to a decision.
He's constantly switching his stance to it, makes it hard for Frank to get a beat on him, He's constantly switched from southpaw to orthodox, back again, and seems to have power from both sides and great ability from both sides as well. It's hard to tell which is his proper power side.
So in on his single leg now is Frank Jankowski. Head positioning not great, perhaps the hint of a fence grab there. But we carry on, Kyle, back into the single leg position, and perhaps a warning there from our referee, Peter Hickman.
Yeah, it was only quick. I don't think it was intentional, maybe just a reflex reaction.
It's incredibly difficult to stop in the moment. You're falling over and there's something to grab on. It is very much a human reaction to reach out and grab that fence. And beautiful, again, the way that Frank the Tank turns the corner with his takedown attempts has really been the difference in finishing.
And this is huge in this part of the fight for Frank the Tank right now.
So So Frank the Tank getting some very personalised instructions there from the team at Wolves Den Academy, Steve Walton, and talking him through this position. Of course, hips nice and high. You can hear the corner there giving him the time update as we approach the final 60 seconds of this flyweight bout. Matty Gibson, perhaps this is the first time in this bout trial that we've seen some prolonged top position. Not that Frank the Tank has done a whole lot from the damage perspective, though.
Yeah, Matty Gibson from here needs to start maybe throwing some strikes in there if he feels comfortable in this position. Because Frank the Tank's not doing too much to advance his position here, so maybe if Matty could land some strikes, we could even judge his eyes that he has a bit more control than he does. But Matty's doing a good job of getting back to his feet right now. He just has to be careful of that choke that Frank will throw on if he exposes his neck too much. But I'm sure Matty's well aware of it. He's doing a great job of hand fighting here, controlling the wrist.
Let's go, work, you gotta work.
24 seconds to go. First hook potentially in there momentarily for Frank the Tank, but cleared quite quickly by Matty Gibson.
Well, Matty Gibson's going to take his back to the cage there, spin out.
Let's go.
Great job there by Matty Gibson.
On the hook, work, 10 seconds.
Well, 3 rounds in the books for these two undefeated flyweight prospects, and well, barring a draw, like you mentioned earlier, Kyle, someone's O has got to go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Judge 1 scores this fight 29-28 to the red corner. Judge 2 scores this fight 29-28 to the blue corner. And Judge 3 scores this fight 29-28 for your winner by a split decision.